I'm a really big believer that this whole starving artist concept, like, is nothing that we should subscribe to. Like,
Right.
we just need to get that out of our heads. You don't have to give up being happy for your art. Like, that's an outdated concept, and we shouldn't subscribe to that.
Okay, you guys actually know each other because you came to our live event.
Yeah, our vision board.
Vision board thing. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yay! Yeah, we hope to do another event soon, but obviously because of quarantine, it's been crazy. So what are you doing to stay sane during quarantine?
You know, quarantine hasn't been that bad. So a couple things. First of all, I'm like an introvert who pretends to be an extrovert. So for me, not being around a ton of people hasn't been that hard. And then because Jesse and I have an online program, we already had stuff on an online platform anyways. We've been working on that. And then also with the studio stuff, we've kind of taken that and done a lot of online calls with that. So we've just been kind of finding things to keep ourselves occupied and still like generate income and, you know, change our workflow a little bit, but it hasn't really been crazy for me.
Okay. You're like living your best life, like quarantine.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I like wake up and go like, you know, run around Chastain Park and then like come home and sit on our, you know, porch and work. And, you know, yeah, I could see how for some people, especially if you're super extroverted, how it could really be a shocker. But for me, it's not. For me, I'm like, oh, great. I don't have to maybe come up with excuses as to why I can't be somewhere.
Yeah. I like being home.
I know.
I like that built-in excuse.
I'm like, I'm an extrovert who likes introvertness stuff sometimes. Like I like to have my alone time, have my morning routine, read my book, you know, work on my business, do stuff alone. But I also like thrive by being with people. So I've been quarantined, but luckily Kesley and I have been able to get together to at least record. So I wish we could be doing this in person with you, but this works for now.
Yeah,
so,
this is perfect.
Yeah. And we want to know kind of all about Actors Spark and that online program you were talking about. But first, before we dive into that and all of the other things you do as a hustler, a female hustler, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, how you got to Atlanta, how you became an actor?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Candi VandiZandi. My name is Candice VandiZandi, but I go by Candi because in the beginning, I was like, Candice VandiZandi is just way too long to put on a headshot. So I was like, I'll just shorten it. People will remember it. So that's what I go by, but it's also my real name. I actually grew up here a little bit north of Atlanta. So I grew up in Woodstock. And then I moved to New York for a little bit and I came back. I moved to LA for a little bit and came back. I was always sort of this like, I want to like step outside of my small town and kind of see what's out there. I did theater growing up from age 8 until out of high school. So I was like the theater nerd that was, you know, like math, not my strong point. That's what I have Jesse for. But theater was always kind of my passion. So I grew up doing that. And then I took like a 10-year break where I thought I needed to be this like responsible adult and get like a real job and, you know, push kind of those like, I'm never going to make it as an actor, right? That's not like a real career you can have. You know, you grow up and, you know, when I was growing up here in Atlanta, it wasn't this hub for acting. You still had to go to New York or go to LA. And so, you know, those thoughts just kind of fed into this mindset of, okay, well, I need to like be an adult. And after that kind of 10-year time span, I was kind of going through a divorce. So I was married and I've been married and I was going through a divorce and I was currently like working at this salary job. So I used to manage a juice company here. It's still around. It's called Detox. So I used to manage all the stores and that's what I did in LA is I worked for a juice company. So like I was a salaried employee there. And then I was like going through this divorce and I was really just trying to find out like, who am I? Right. Because I think when we're in relationships, it's really easy to, especially me, because I'm like a giver and I'm always trying to be like, well, how can I like be better for them and like, what can I do for them? And so I just went through this journey of what do I want that makes me happy? And I had hired a couple people that were actors. So I had hired some people, and it was weird because I was like, you're an actor, like what does that mean? Because they were adults, right? And they were like, yeah, I'm an actor, like I'm getting auditions. And I was like, you live in Atlanta, like I don't really understand, because I wasn't in that scene anymore. And so I was like, well, you know, like what would I want to do if I wanted to, you know, maybe like try this thing again, just like on the weekends? And they were like, well, get into a class. So I went in, I got into a class, and this part of me that I had tried to, like this light that I had tried to put a basket over for so long, just like re-lit up. And I remember the moment, and it's like funny and ironic, and I guess you get it if you're an actor, but like, it was like one of those games where you're all like in a circle and everybody's this animal, right? You all pretend to be animals, which just sounds very, like it sounds weird if you're not an actor.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, this is home. Like, this is where I want to be. Like, this is what makes me feel good. And like, I had just suppressed that for so long because I wanted to be an adult and be responsible and get a real job. And like, there's nothing wrong with that, but that was not my path. And so that's how I kind of came back into acting, where my passion kind of reignited for film and TV. So that was where I started, and that was six-ish years ago when I started getting into film.
So how do you handle being an introvert and then like saying, okay, no, but like I want to be an actor?
Yeah, so kind of like I said before, so I'm an introvert who pretends to be an extrovert. And the best way that I can, and it's hard because people ask me this, and the best way that I've found is a lot of times introverts get their energy from like recharging by themselves, right? So it does take a lot of our energy to go out and like be in front of people, or like do things in front of people, or like go to an audition. Like an audition for an extrovert is like playtime, but an audition for an introvert is like, oh God, I hope they like me. Like, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily as playtime, but to be honest with you, I practiced at being an extrovert. So I forced myself to, because I was newly single, right? I was divorced and trying to meet new people just to have friends. And so I remember thinking, this is uncomfortable, but I have to force myself to go to places where I don't know anyone, go to parties where I don't know anyone, because I could be the best actor in the world, but if nobody sees me because I'm hiding over here, or I'm too nervous to like show myself, then nobody's going to see me, right? So I had to cultivate this mindset of like working on my confidence, and which I think whether you're an extrovert or an introvert is something we need to do. And then also like putting myself in situations that are difficult, because that gave me a chance to step outside my comfort zone and grow. And I think that for introverts, it's something you need to do. Like, it is terrifying for me to go to a party where I don't know anybody, but you learn how to make conversation with people, and you learn to talk about yourself, and you learn to listen. And like, these are skills we need just as human beings. So that's kind of how I navigate that.
Yeah, it's possible to learn confidence.
Yeah.
Something I had to learn. When you said that you felt like you had to get a normal job and have a normal life and stuff, was that a belief that you like created on your own, or did that come from other people in your life?
No, that was from other people in my life. I mean, look, nobody's parents are perfect, right? I'm sure that when I have kids, I will not be the perfect parent either. And they just want what's best for you. So a lot of times parents instill these ideals in you because they are scared for you. They don't want you to have a life that's hard. And so unfortunately, in them trying to protect you, they end up crushing sometimes these little parts of you. So that was, among other things, a big mindset shift that I had to have, where I realized that, like, first of all, being a successful actor is defined by a lot of different things. It's not just like, I'm a successful actor and I'm a movie star, right? If that was the case, we would all be really sad actors. Like, that's not how you should define success as an actor. And then also, like, you know, saying, I understand where they were coming from, but that's not an ideal that I identify with. And that doesn't make me feel good. And like, I know that I feel good when I'm on this path. And so that's where I'm going to go now.
I love what you just, that was so good. Yes. So when did you finally start experiencing the success as an actor? Or like, was it when you found like success in your life? Like, where did it go from the kind of rock bottom of, I don't know where I am, to I need to find my tribe? Like, was it like you found a specific acting class that you liked and then you just started making friends? Like, where'd you go from there?
You know, to be honest with you, and again, like, there are times when, and I think we can all relate to this, and I don't want to come off as like, I have all the answers, right? I can share my journey and like my story, and, you know, maybe it makes sense for some people, but like, there are still times where I'm like, is this not, do I feel like I'm on the right path, but like, could I be doing this better? Where can I do this better? But for me, so eventually I made the decision. So I'd started in acting classes, and that was great. And then I had started actually volunteering at Get Seen. So I started as an intern there. And I remember thinking, I have a choice. Like, I was working 90 hours a week at my salary job and miserable, right? I was working from like, I never saw daylight. Like, it was dark when I went in, it was dark when I left. Like, I slept with my phone under my pillow. Like, I was on call all the time, which is what you have to do. But I was like, I can't be available for acting and then also be available for this. And once I decided I didn't want my life to look like that anymore, is when I decided, I don't know what's out here. I don't know how I'm going to make money. I don't know how I'm going to survive, but I know that I don't want this anymore. And so I'm just going to jump. And I am not saying that everything fell into place right away. I had a lot of very scary talks with myself, and I was an Uber driver for a while, and I, you know, was like just trying to do anything. And it's humbling when you come from a salary job to being like, I don't know how I'm going to get my next paycheck. But once I stepped out into the universe, which I fully believe you have to create that space there for the universe to catch you. And so then I started realizing that even though things may feel a little less settled, like a little less in line, I felt happier. I could wake up and I wasn't stressed. Like, I felt more joy. Like, I had time to do things like to take a run if I wanted to take a run. And so that also translated into my acting as well, because you don't feel so like white knuckled, like you have to get a job, or like, you know, I fully believe that acting should complement your life. It shouldn't consume your life. So like, me living a joyful life outside of acting translated into making my acting better as well.
This is stuff that we talk about all the time, just leading with joy. Like, and you know, look, I just got laid off from my job during quarantine, this like job that I got. And it was only 4 weeks in, thank God. Like, thank God I wasn't accustomed to that life of having a 9-to-5 job. Like, I'm very accustomed to the entrepreneur life. And I think what drives most entrepreneurs, which makes up most of the economy, is entrepreneurs and small businesses. What drives us is like the need to survive, you know, like we are thirsty, we are hungry, we are here to hustle. And so that's why we call this podcast Hustle and Flow, because we believe that there's like a major part of like the flow state, all of that is just creating the space and allowing the universe to do the work for you. You know, it's just all about, I guess, finding ways to support yourself, but leading with joy. So I know that you have like 10 jobs. Can you share with us ways that you started to support yourself as an actor when you had that opportunity?
Yeah. So again, one of the big things I realized was, and look, I just want to make sure that everybody knows, if you have a 9-to-5 job and that is what you love and that makes you happy and you also like acting, I am not saying you need to go quit your job. Some people are born for that, and those people are great. And whatever you do, like, I understand. Like, I understand if you have a family, and I understand some people need that security, and like, that is great. And you can still be an actor with a 9-to-5 job. But for me, that wasn't my place. So so the first thing I started doing was Uber when Uber was back, when Uber had just kind of started. Even though I'm a terrible driver, like, I'm not sure how they let me drive for Uber, but they did anyways. So so I'm driving for Uber, and everybody was always like, are you scared? And I was like, not really. I don't know. I'm sure I'll be fine. You know, and then I started I realized that I wanted to spend more time at Get Sane because at that time I was still an intern, and I was stalking Jesse, so that was also part of it.
You were stalking Jesse?
Yeah.
Oh, for everybody listening, Jesse is her fiance. Were you guys supposed to get married during this time?
July 5th. So thank God. I think it's a little bit. I think we've missed it. I think it won't affect us, but we'll
Okay,
see.
so you haven't officially pushed the wedding yet, right?
No, not yet.
Okay, great, cool. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine.
It'll be fine.
So you were stalking Jesse.
Yeah, so I was stalking Jesse because Jesse started Get Seen, and then I was interning / stalking him there. And so I started there, and I just realized that like I wanted to be there. Like at that time, you know, I just loved the energy there, and his energy is so great and positive. And so what happened was like in me being there and like giving my time and like really diving in and again like jumping, we created a position where we started the first walk-in self-taping service in the Southeast. And so I started running that service there. So that was a way where I can't tell you the valuable lessons that I learned from, I've taped thousands of actors at this point, and I'm not exaggerating. And the lessons that you learn from being able to watch other people tape are invaluable. So that was a way where I was able to not only work on my craft, but also make money. So that was a way that I supported myself. And then even still now, I bartend, which I'm not hating on the bartending money. Like that stuff is fine for me. I realize that, so I work at a craft cocktail bar, and for me, that feels better. Like for some people, they like working at sports bars. For me, I don't like it when people get real loud. So I'm like, I'll just work at this quiet craft cocktail bar over here. So a couple years ago, I started Faux Tanning, which is a mobile spray tanning company here in Atlanta with my partner, Allie White. And that was also grown out of, it was another thing, like grown out of a want to like do good and like a want to better ourselves. Like we believed that women shouldn't have to compromise their health concerns with feeling confident. And so that's why we also wanted to create Faux Tanning. So like having the ability to have multiple streams of income for me has really lifted the load of me having to depend on one job, and it's given me so much freedom to work on my career and not be stressed about it. Like when I get an audition, I'm not stressed about when I'm gonna get it in. I know that because I have so many sources of income, for me, I can put it in wherever it makes sense.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you need a lot of structure, even though we don't have like a 9 to 5. So almost like treating your dreams as if they're a 9 to 5 and having like structure in your day. So how do you structure your day, given that you have so many jobs and that you could get an audition at any minute?
Yeah, I love that. I love that quote, treating your dreams as a 9 to 5, because you will straight up sell your soul for a company that's not even yours. And you will forget when you are in charge of your dreams that that's where you need to be putting your energy towards. So for me, I'm really big on making lists. And so, you know, I'm really big on structuring my day as like, I started doing it with times, and I was like, this time I'll do this time I'll do this. And then I realized that like I like to set myself up for success. So sometimes things take a little bit longer than I think. And like, then if I feel like I'm late for something, even if I've scheduled it, then I get stressed, right? Because I don't like to be late. So I like to make a list. And as long as I get those things done during my day, then I feel productive. I think it's important that you set goals for yourself, but you not just set the big goals, then you have to work backwards and break down how to achieve them. So like if I want, so, you know, for instance, there's something different that we wanted to launch with Faux Tanning that we're doing. And so that's the goal, right? Is to get people to have this service, but I need to work backwards and figure out, okay, well, what do I need? Well, I need to start taking pictures of the product. I need to implement marketing for the product. Like I need to make emails to go out about it. And same thing with any of the businesses. Like if you can't create structure for yourself, it's easy to get lost in this like, well, I'll sit on the couch, or I'll go over here, or I'll do whatever. Another thing that I think is really important is setting aside a workspace designated for work.
Yes.
Like getting up, getting ready, taking a shower, and going into your workspace. Because if you sit in your bed, chances are you're just going to end up on Facebook. You're not going to end up doing the work you need to do.
Yeah,
Right.
totally. They say you shouldn't eat in bed either because it causes nightmares. Fun fact.
I believe that.
Isn't that crazy? How would you reverse engineer an acting goal?
So we believe there's 3 parts to being an actor. There's you're technically good, right? So you have training that makes you technically good. So that's one part. You also have your business materials in order. So headshot, resume, demo reel, like that stuff, your online presence, that's in order. But then there's this other part that people kind of neglect, and that's like your mindset and your proper goal setting and like how you feel. Like, I'm a really big believer that this whole starving artist concept, like, is nothing that we should subscribe to. Like, we just need to get that out of our heads. You don't have to give up being happy for your art. Like, that's an outdated concept, and we shouldn't subscribe to that. So a lot of people feel unhappy because they have, and I don't want to say set goals too high, but they haven't broken down these big goals into little ones that they can achieve to make them happy. So a lot of people will say, you know what, my goal is I want to be a series regular. Okay, me too. That sounds awesome. So let's talk about a couple things. How many auditions are you currently getting for a series regular? Okay, well, none. All right, cool. How many auditions are you currently getting for recurring guest star roles? None. Okay. How many auditions are you currently getting for just guest star roles? None. How many auditions are you getting for co-star roles? I'm getting co-star role auditions. Cool. How often are you booking co-star role auditions? I've booked twice. Great. So this is an area where we can work. We can't just jump from, you're not just going to jump from booking a couple co-star roles to being a series regular. So, then we can break that down. Okay, well, who are you getting auditions from and who are you not getting auditions from? How can we cultivate those relationships a little bit more? Or, I have some people who are like, well, I don't even have an agent, but I know I'm going to be a series regular. And I'm like, that's great, but let's work on getting an agent first, because you have to get the agent to get the auditions. You have to book the auditions to get more clout to move forward. Mm-hmm. So it's about setting these small goals that you can do, that you feel good about moving forward. Like, we can't control booking. I promise you, it is not based on how good you are 98% of the time. Wow. You can be the best actor, and that's awesome. But if you don't have brown hair, or if you are not the race they're looking for, or if you are too tall or too short, you're not booking it. And it has nothing to do with you. And that's something that people need to understand. So what we try to do is focus on the things we can control. What we can control are the relationships we have with the casting directors, how available you make yourselves to do those auditions and do them well and get them in on time, and continuing to build that relationship with your agent. So that's sort of how I would take a big goal and kind of work it backwards. Does that make sense?
Yes, that was so valuable, Candi. Thank you for that whole thing. Yes, yes, yes. What's going on with Get Seen right now? Because we used to be in this studio space. What has happened with the transition of Get Seen? Because I remember when you guys first opened and you were doing the walk-in tapes, and I was like, this is revolutionary.
So Get Seen we've gone through a lot of transitions, and they've all been super powerful. Currently, right now, we're not doing live in-person stuff just because of what's going on. So we've been having these online series that are free to everybody. We've had them on Zoom, and today we just posted one. We found out we could actually stream webinars to Facebook. So everybody, because the Zoom rooms can only hold so many people, and we were like, oh gosh, how do we fit 2,000 people in? We want everybody to get this information. So we've been doing these weekly online series called Audition Success Series. And we just did one with Chase Paris today. And then next week we have one with Mark Fincannon. So those have been really cool. Just a free thing to kind of give information out. And then hopefully whenever we can get back to doing the in-person classes, Get Seen, for those who don't know about it, we focus on building that bridge between the actor and the industry professional. So we really focus on workshops or intensives where you can come in and get in front of them and do a scene for them and get notes and feedback that, sometimes we do a self-tape, we send it off and nobody, don't hear anything. So that's sort of where we bridge the gap with that. So we're hoping, obviously, when everything gets a little safer, to move back into doing in-person classes. But we were thankful that a couple years ago, back in the end of 2018, we actually started an online program called Spark. It was important that we started an online platform, again, because we didn't want an actor we essentially didn't want them to come up with any more excuses. Like, I can't make this in-person class, or my job ran late, or, we wanted them to win. And so we wanted to set people up in a way that they could literally take an acting class whenever they wanted. And so that's why we created Spark. We do live calls on Spark, but if you miss a live call, it just gets uploaded into an archive so you can watch it later. So that's where the online program came about, and thank goodness that we already had that platform. So transitioning it into this period, not only were we able to still serve our members, but we were able to get a lot of new people too, which is really great. People who didn't know that we existed are now just finding out. And so that's really awesome for us to be able to share that.
I love that. I think it's so cool that you and Jesse are both actors. And so you really are for actors. It's the coolest thing, I mean, you really are thinking, like, if I was a new person in this industry, or if I was struggling with this, like, I would really need this. And what's really cool about Actors Spark is that it all gets archived. And so you can literally, like, go back and look at the classes, and you can select whichever one you want to listen to, whichever industry professional you want to listen to. You can just click on it and watch it at whatever time works for you, which is amazing, because having that ability to go back and look at it whenever you want is amazing, because, like you and like me and like Kesley, we're all constantly hustling and doing other things because we're trying to support our dreams. So time is so important. It's probably our most important and valuable and limited resource that we have. What do you think is the advantage or benefit to doing a casting workshop versus like an acting class, or are both important? Should people be doing them regularly? What do you think about that?
I think that they are complementary. They do not supersede, not one supersedes the other one. So going to an acting class is like going to the gym. I can't continue to compete in the bodybuilding competition if I don't go to the gym. So like going to the gym, you're continually like conditioning yourself, you're working on scenes, you definitely have aha moments, and like, it's more of an atmosphere of like, all right, I'm working out this muscle, I'm continuing to grow, I'm continuing to get better. Doing a workshop can have those aha moments, and they oftentimes do, but it gives you the opportunity to get face-to-face time where you wouldn't normally have that. So yes, they are technique focused, and I promise you, one really cool thing about them, especially the setup that we do, is you'll watch a bunch of people's self-tapes in the room together, and that right there will blow your mind, because you being able to see 5 other people do the same scene you did in a different way is really, really valuable. Just like I was saying before, watching people self-tape and seeing people do the same sides, like, not only does it bring this sense of like, okay, like I'm different enough and I'm special enough that I'll be different even if I'm not trying really, really hard. But also like it lets you see areas where, oh, I get that. Like I see how that technically could have been a little bit different. So they're really complementary. Like, like I said, it's like going to the gym versus being in the bodybuilding competition. Not that we're in competition with each other, because everyone has their own pie, but
right.
It's just building that relationship even stronger, and that's going to help you get those auditions, because they remember. Casting directors remember your face and they remember your name, especially if you're in front of them.
Well, I actually did a casting workshop at Get Seen to redeem myself one time. This is kind of a funny quick story. I was at a holiday event for Jay Purvis. It was like the Jay Purvis holiday party. And I saw this guy who looked really familiar, and he was just walking past me. He had a drink in his hand. And I was a bartender at the time, and I had a drink in my hand, so this looked really bad, but I wasn't drunk, I swear. But I just got excited. I got really excited, and I see this guy, and I just like, I kind of like shoved him. I was like, hey! I was like, I know you. And he was like, yeah, what's up? And I was like, oh God, what is your name? And I was like hitting him. And my boyfriend was next to me, and I was like, Josh, this is that guy who comes to our bar. And the guy was like, no, it's not me. And I was like, what is your name? I know you. And he goes, George Pierre.
No.
I had auditioned for him in person several times. Okay. Like, one of the biggest casting directors in the Southeast. Great. And I died. He walked away, and I was mortified. Couple weeks later, I get an email from Get Seen. It's like, do an intensive with George Pierre. And I was like, I have to redeem myself. And so I signed up. I did the casting workshop. He remembered me. He was laughing about it. I made an ass of myself completely. But I got to work with him, and he gave me such great feedback that I got to like do the audition again. He told me I did a great job. And then just a couple weeks later, I heard from his casting assistant, Christy Holiday, who used to work at my agency. And she told me that I had booked something that I swear I did not audition for, and ended up literally like basically creating a character from scratch. Like, I wasn't even written into the script. Another actor gave me a name. I got an IMDb credit, but like all of that happened because I went to that, casting workshop, and I had that face-to-face time with him.
You know, I think putting yourself in a position to, there's a way to do it professionally, right? Like, definitely people come in and they're like way too much. Like, they're like, hey, look at me, like, you know, peacock feathers out, and it's not professional, right? But like, coming into it genuinely like wanting to create a relationship does help you. And another cool thing about the workshops is you don't normally get notes from casting. So if you do a casting workshop, what an agent asks you to do may not be the same thing as what a casting director wants from you. And so it's really valuable feedback to know going, like, for instance, for George, you know, he loves 2 takes. So for George, you know, you always try to do 2 takes for him, unless it's like a really long scene. But if it's one line, do 2 takes for him. Some people don't like 2 takes, but it's something that you need to know as an actor. It's your job to know what the casting directors like and what they don't like. And this is a great way to do it.
So I'm not an actor, but I am a singer and performer and stuff. And so sometimes we have like weird rituals we do before we perform. Do you have any rituals that you do for auditions?
So I do love, and this was stolen from Crystal Carson, but I do love when I get an audition, I think sometimes it's easy for us to immediately get an audition and then go to when am I going to tape it? Is this right for me? Like, when is it due? Like, we're starting to create this negativity around something that's an opportunity, which is what we want, right? So trying to, when you get an audition, sit in a little bit of a meditation and think, this is awesome. Like, this is my opportunity. I'm grateful for this. Like, what does this character feel like to me? What does it look like to me? You know, costuming for me, I use costuming, the word lightly, like, but you know, what do I think that they'll wear? Like, that helps me get into character. And then Jesse and I actually came up with this, but before we tape auditions, we will repeat, booking is easy, booking is fun, booking comes naturally, because it changes and you know what, even if you don't 100% feel it at the time, just saying those words helps your brain get into another mind space. And you know what, even if you don't book it, isn't it nice to go into something with a positive mindset instead of the mindset that a lot of people have, where it's like, whatever, let's just get this done, this isn't right for me anyways. So we do that, and that's been really helpful at just like generating more joy around these opportunities, because I hear so many actors, and the first thing that happens when they get an audition is they get stressed. And I'm like, you can't bring that in, because Chase Paris was actually just talking about it today. Like, he's like, I can see when an actor's desperate, even through a self-tape. And like, you can. Like, that's why film is so powerful. That's why TV is so powerful, because you can feel what that character's feeling. And so don't you think if you feel negative towards the audition, it's going to come off, even if the lines don't read that way.
Oh my God, yes. Oh,
Ooh.
that is so good. I actually just got an audition and I'm going to do that. And I love those like affirmations at the end because I'm so big on affirmations. So I'm definitely going to start doing that too. It like rewires your brain. Thanks for doing this. Where can we find you? Where can we stay in touch with you? And is there anything else you kind of want to add on before we wrap up?
So you can find me on Instagram at I am the THE, V as in Victor, Z as in zebra. So I'm the VZ. You can always just find me on Facebook as Candi VandiZandi.
Yes.
And then obviously if you look for Actors Spark, I'll be on there too. So at Actors Spark, that's a great way. And then Get Seen is at Get Seen Studios.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Candi. And I just want to like acknowledge you and Jesse for being such forward thinkers in our industry. And I mean, you guys truly are. You started the biggest studio in the Southeast. So that was so incredible. And just the fact that you guys really do wear the actor's shoes makes it just so easy to know that like we're in the right place, we're learning from the right people. So thank you for sharing all of your industry wisdom with us, and we can't wait to have you back.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. It was awesome.
Okay, until next time, hustle and flow.